Especially with last night's game.
Yeah.
The following is a presentation of Sertoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated.
The Brotherly Shove makes another appearance. That and more on Total Football Talk. Welcome to another exciting installment of Total Football Talk. Football talk on the gridiron the way you like it and the way you deserve it. I am one half of this team, one half of the show, Cole Johnson, aka Mad Scientist and the EP Extraordinaire. I'm joined always on this show by the other co-host of this program, Mr. Commander's Gridiron Reporter himself, D. Willie, or Drew Willingham. How you doing, my man?
Feeling great today, bro. Thank you, as always, for the great intro and looking forward to another great episode with you. We got some great things on this slate for this episode.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. And let's get to it right now. Opening drive.
All right, let's go. We got trips, right? At 42, 989. On two. Ready? Great.
So before we get the festivities started, of course, we had 6 teams that this past week were on bye. So the Bengals, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Jets, the Panthers, and the Texans. Again, the Bengals, Cowboys, Titans, Jets, Panthers, and Texans were on byes in week 7. So if you don't hear those teams, you know why. That's if you don't follow the sport. But of course, for those who do, here's a review. And here is Thursday night's game between the Jaguars and the Saints. Alvin Kamara, for the losing cause, and probably the only cause, carried the ball 17 times, 62 yards, had 12 receptions, 91 yards, as Derek Carr went ballistic, throwing for 301 yards or 55 pass attempts. He threw a touchdown, threw a pick. And basically, the Jaguars were nondescript in how they went about business, but they still won 31-24. They put up their mark to 5-2. Your thoughts, sir?
I mean, unfortunately, that one interception by Derek Carr seems to be the turning point in the game, you know, with it being a one-possession game. That's usually the biggest thing I jump to. But the Jaguars, for scoring 31 points in this contest, definitely they're putting up the numbers right now. They are not slouching. They're improving every single week, and I expect the Jaguars to get this victory this week. But Derek Carr, 55 pass attempts. It's a lot of pass attempts. They're relying on that arm, and it got them pretty far, but just not far enough, as that interception was what turned the game.
Yes. And poor Justin Moreau. I mean, the game literally was in his hands, and he dropped what would have been the game-time touchdown. Poor chap.
Just unfortunately, when it comes to a turnover, though, even though that situation was there at the end, had he not turned the ball over, we could be talking about touchdown that he dropped to take the lead, and then you're in overtime. I put this in the fault of Derek Carr more than I put it in your guy.
I agree. And I think a lot has to do with the fact that I think the Saints thought, okay, we got ourselves a QB. Although he has a lot of mileage on him, we got ourselves a QB. Not realizing that he has limitations. They figured they had an elite QB on the cheap. Well, on the cheap, it's pretty much on the point. Again, the Saints dropped to 3-4. The Jaguars improved their record to 5-2 as they rule right now the AFC South. Turn our attention to the early Sunday games. The Bears decided to wake up and do so without Justin Fields. They clobbered the Raiders 30-12 as the offense put together 173 rushing yards, and the defense decided to simply make life miserable for Raiders QBs, as Jalen Johnson had 2 touchdowns, 1 a pick six, and 3 interceptions. Well, and the team 3 interceptions in total. Your thoughts on this absolute? Let me see if I can find the right way to describe this game.
Great timing. I love it. When it comes to this game right here, it was definitely, in my opinion, the worst game of the weekend. If you're a fan of either one of these two teams and you put yourself through the entire game of this entire just mind-blowing experience because of how bad the Raiders are right now. You know, those chants at the beginning of the season to Mark Davis to fire the man who loves to wear a visor. We'll just say he's not even good enough for me to say his name right now, but we know his name. But he wants to copy the old school hoodie and wear the visor. You are not good enough to wear the visor, even as a head coach there, JM. I'm going to just say that. But Brian Hoyer, as your starting quarterback, he is definitely aged out of that backup position. I feel like this is his last year in the NFL, especially when you see 129 yards on 32 pass attempts and 2 interceptions, and he completed only half of those. You know, it was 17, just barely over half. That is pathetic. The Raiders deserve to lose this game, and you lose to Tyler Badgett, who has 29 pass attempts. He did complete 20 of them, but only for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. And they even found a play to get Nathan Peterman in there.
Yeah, that's why the Raiders should be ashamed of themselves. You actually had Nathan Peterman contribute in a football game. Goodness gracious. The Raiders dropped to 3-4. The Bears improved to 2-5. Oh my gosh. Again, it was literally of the week. Goodness gracious, that thing was horrible. To the Meadowlands we go, and unfortunately for my partner, the Commanders, his beloved Commanders, took it on the chin to the Giants 14-7. Tyrod Taylor, who actually looked really good in Daniel Jones' stead, 18-29, 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. A Darren Waller sighting. They got him off of free agency. He finally contributes in the game, 7 receptions, 98 yards and a touchdown. Sam Howell, 42 pass attempts, 22 completions, 249 yards and a pick. The Commanders defense did pretty good. They put Tyrod Taylor to the turf 4 times, but I feel for Mr. Howell because he was put to the turf 6 times. Your thoughts on the Commanders Giants game, sir?
This game was next to our other game we were just talking about, as far as up there on the level of bowl and shoe ugly, as far as the way that the offensive line of the Commanders is playing. And this is what we've talked about all season long. This is something I've talked about for nearly almost a decade now. They have had problems on that offensive line that got RG3 hurt and cost him his career. Well, of course, they put him back in a little bit too soon. But still, the offensive line is still a tribute to that. But now your offensive line shape is even worse. He's taken 40 sacks, that being Sam Howell, through 7 games. And he didn't take a sack through the second half of the last game. So 6.5 games. I was telling you the other day, 40 sacks. It's only 3 behind David Carr at this point in the year. for the most amount of sacks in the league history, and that was in 2002. So
Right.
we're looking at over 20 years ago. This was set, and my biggest concern is that at some point he's going to take one hit too many and get hurt, and it may be the type of injury it takes a while to come back from if you're able to come back from it. This game right here, the first half was really ugly for the Commanders as they went into halftime 14-0. And Tyrod Taylor had like 229 of those passing yards in the first half. So when you put the math together, he was shut out pretty much the second half. So the defense was slacking up the first half, that being for the Commanders. They really stepped it up and kept this game from getting out of hand. But when I think about everything, you can't just not show up in the first half, that being the offense and the defense pretty much, or at least the defense kept it within the two possessions. But you still cannot slack off the first half and expect to really turn the Jets on the second half and be able to come back, because the Giants were able to stop you in some key moments in that second half that they could have easily given the game up. But had you not done what you did in the first half, you wouldn't have been in this position in the first place against a 1-5 team that should be 1-6, but they ended the prophecy, and here we are on Tuesday morning talking about the prophecy ending when it comes to the New York Giants. However, celebrate like it's the Super Bowl right now, because I was right about the first 6 weeks, and you may win again this week. Then you're going to finish the year off a lot worse, I feel like, than you did to start the season, or very similar, maybe slightly better. But you're still playing like a bunch of dumpster Pelicans. Do not get excited out there, New York Giants fans.
Oh, Lord. He actually said that. That's cold. That's cold. Well, a wonderful message that was passed yesterday by our beloved brother and hardcore Giants fan, Wisehead Hefe. He said, "Good morning, gentlemen. What a wonderful day to be a 2-5 Giants fan." I never thought that you would be happy with your team improving to 2-5, but that's where the Giants are. The Commanders, unfortunately, they fall to 3-4, and I'm with you. If you ever compare your offensive line to the 2002 Houston Texans, your offensive line. Yeah, your offensive line is a whole bunch of these.
Absolutely.
And the trash underneath the Pelicans.
I'll at least got to say this, and I know you'll be able to back me up on it. Out of fans or media people who cover the games as well, I bet you I'm taking my prophecy ending a lot better than other people who out there are taking a loss right now.
Yes. I'll admit that. You are. Yes, you. I'll give you credit. You are, sir. To the sunny beaches of the western Gulf Coast of Florida and Tampa, where the Buccaneers and the Falcons played, and Younghoe Koo, with his leg once again, with no time remaining, brought the Falcons a 16-13 victory. Desmond Ridder, for the winning cause, probably having his best game as a pro, 19-25 and 250 yards, a rushing touchdown. Unfortunately, he did 3 times. The Falcons offense also gave you 156 rushing yards. Mike Evans, for the losing cause, 6 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. And the man, well, I will let him call him what his name is, Baker Mayfield, 27-42, 275 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Your thoughts on this NFC South game, sir?
In the words of broken Matt Hardy, when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
oh Lord,
Bunkers Dayfield, I knew you'd come because you did, and you showed up this weekend. Because when I look at this game, if you were such a great quarterback, you would have led this team to victory. Instead, you only had 1 touchdown. And I talked about it earlier with Derek Carr about his turnover being the one that merely cost him the game. Think about it here. Had Bunker not bunkered it up again and thrown an interception, they might have gotten that extra field goal, gone to overtime, been able to turn it over, or even better, gotten a touchdown and not even been in the position to go to overtime. I look at this right here. The man did have almost 300 yards. So I can't throw but so much shade on him except for the fact that you lost. And when you lose, I could throw you under the bus there, Bunker, because you have done enough out there to give me the ammunition to state the same when it comes to you bunkering it up in a 16-13 loss, making Desmond Ridder with 250 yards and no touchdowns. Oh, wait, not take that back. He had a rushing touchdown, but no passing touchdowns, no interceptions either. You're making him look better each week as he comes out there and he's getting these victories or whatnot, as they're now 4-3. But Arthur Smith and that duster up top, you guys got to make some better decisions because you shouldn't have been in this position in the first place the way the Buccaneers were playing all day. So when it comes to that, when it comes to bunkering it up, it definitely was wild when it came to this game right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good old Bunker, bunkering it up.
What?
How do you feel about that, Cole?
What?
I feel like it's...
That's terrible.
And when it comes to bunkering it up...
Stop it. Get some help.
Because when it all comes down...
Let me talk to you.
It purely is...
That's terrible.
I saw Eli Drake / LA Knight on the screen. I thought you was about to launch. Oh my gosh. I was like, I just saw.
Let me talk to you.
I'm like, oh Lord. Who's he about to roast? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Baker Mayfield. Well, good Lord. The Falcons improved to 4-3. The Buccaneers, they fall to 3-3. And yeah, they got both teams have to do better, but it's the NFC South. You really don't have to do much, do you? Oh boy. What happened at M&T Bank Stadium? The Ravens showed up. The Lions did not. That's pretty much how it was. 38-6, and the game wasn't even that close. The Ravens routed the Lions. The Ravens offense put up 146 rushing yards. The Ravens defense put Jared Goff to the turf 5 times. Goff himself, 33 of 53, 284 yards on a pick. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he ended up able to hold 100 yards on 13 carries. Well, 13 receptions, I'm sorry. But, of course, the star of the show, Lamar Jackson, who I will say right now on this airwave, he put forth the best performance in his NFL career to date. 21-27, 357 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. The only blemish was the lost fumble. Your thoughts on this game, sir?
Well, overall, I wasn't sure if the Lions took a dive or not because of how bad the end of this game was. You know, I'm not trying to throw so much out there, except for the fact, like you said, I'll agree, that Lamar Jackson was playing out of his mind and was putting up MVP-like numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If he continues this would be one of the very few times that I have seen someone take a very big contract and then that same year come out here and put these type of numbers up. It seems like historically when somebody takes a big contract, they take a step back that next year because they got a little bit too comfortable with the fact that they won and they got their contract that they needed. Then over the duration of the rest of the contract, they start proving why they deserve that money. But Lamar Jackson is proving, especially in this game right here, against the hyped up Lions. The Lions had so much hype, Cole, coming into this game, and I was part of that bandwagon because
Same.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it last week. You know, we were comfortable with the fact the Lions are going to come out here and give them at least a great competitive game. I would have understood if they lost.
Same.
But 38-6,
Right.
This needs to go on your BS list with the ugliness.
Oh yeah, because yes, not the game, because actually the Ravens could not execute any better. I mean, when I looked at them, I was like, oh my gosh, offensive lines opened up big time holes. They haven't laid they can't. The Lions defense can't lay a finger on Jackson. The pass rush of the Ravens was just absolutely was giving the Lions a hard time. So I couldn't say the game was bowling shoe ugly, but the Lions' performance, it definitely was. Man, well, with that, both teams are now 5-2 as the Lions fall to 5-2 and the Ravens improve to 5-2. Wow. That actually is the end of all of the Sunday early games.
And I can't even put that all on Jared Goff either. I mean, because he was spreading the ball around to his receivers. I mean, they were catching the ball. They just weren't producing because the Ravens were stepping up in the defense as well. I mean, they were containing the Lions. Even though Lamar Jackson on the offensive side was doing what he did, the defense on the Ravens side were doing just as well as Lamar was.
But yeah, easily best performance of the Ravens defense too this year.
If you were a Ravens fan, this was absolutely phenomenal to watch. If you were a fan of that,
and I'm not a fan of the team, and I thought, wow, this is awesome. just the level of execution that the Ravens put forth on the Lions, I was like, wow, you all are making an NFL team look like a high school club. Right in front of my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Just the execution on both sides of the ball was ridiculously beautiful. I mean, and again, not a Ravens fan, but I'll give the props where it's due. The Ravens just put on the clinic. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
I'll take it back to an old school name you probably haven't heard in a while, but it's only a few levels back. They made them look like a Pop Warner team.
And I will not argue with you one single iota because I believe they did.
As much hype as those Lions we've heard and we've given them, and deservingly so, you deflated all of that air in your sails, all that wind in your sails this past weekend against the Ravens.
Oh, man. Sad. But for the Ravens, I hope they can build off of this because, if so, the AFC may have a contender on their hands that they may not be able to shake. Now to the late Sunday games. And speaking of the Ravens, their divisional rival, the Steelers, went to SoFi to play the Rams, and the Steelers eked out a gritty 24-17 victory. Kenny Pickett, who I'll say, talking about best performance in the NFL to date, he also Sunday had his best performance to date as an NFL quarterback. 17-25, 230 yards, no touchdowns, but no mistakes. And he spread the ball around to many different receivers. George Pickens being one of them, 5 receptions, over 100 yards, 107 to be exact. For the losing Rams, Puka Nacua, who has been probably the favorite target of Matthew Stafford, 8 receptions, 154 yards on the Rams offense. Even though in a losing cause, they did put down 131 rushing yards. Your thoughts on this game, sir?
Great job, Kenny Pickett. Great job for showing up, because I've thrown so much shade on this kid for now 2 seasons, 2 non-electrifying seasons out of Kenny Pickett, okay? So when I look at this game, and I look at the statistic, for you to throw 230 yards, how about this? For you to throw over 200 yards and not have an interception, I give you the clap right there, and the good version of the clap right there, Kenny Pickett, okay? So when you think about that, when you have your leading rusher at 53 rushing yards overall, they are having a hard time establishing the run, as well as many other teams we've talked about. But Kenny Pickett, to have 230 throwing yards, and he did score 1 touchdown, as he had 1 rushing touchdown. But think about this, though. His overall rushing stats, he was so much of a dumpster pelican, he had 8 rushes for 0 yards and a touchdown.
Oh,
How do you applaud that? You're the ninth dumpster pelican on that list for that one. You are the ninth one, all the way in the back to the left, behind the little midget dumpster pelican that was the eighth one. Okay, that's how bad you played this week.
God.
So Kenny Pickett, I need you to step it up on a more regular basis, because if you are a Steelers fan and you were getting this excited about a win over the LA Rams to this magnitude, you might as well be the New York Giants fans and treat this like your Super Bowl at this point in the season, because it's not going to get any better than this.
No. Oh, my gosh. I'll give you the clap, the good version. Oh, Lord. Only you would say that. Oh, my gosh. The Rams dropped to 3-4. The Steelers improved to 4-2, coming off of a bye. Actually, probably the strongest performance on offense for sure. And shout out to T.J. Watt, pick in the game, and he's still causing havoc. Dude is going to be one of the front runners for Defensive Player of the Year, and he keeps stacking up the resume to give you that understanding. Again, the Steelers improved to 4-2. The Rams dropped to 3-4. In the 2023 season. To Lumen Stadium or Field, what used to be known as CenturyLink Field, as the Seahawks entertained, and I do literally mean entertained, the Cardinals, because they actually showed the Cardinals that they can be an NFL team before dispensing them and kicking them out of the stadium 20-10. Geno Smith, 18-24, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kenneth Walker coming back, and Kenneth Walker the third, coming back of a performance. 26 carries, 105 yards on the ground. And the defense for the Seahawks, 4 sacks of Joshua Dobbs. Your thoughts on this game, sir?
Oh, you're right when it comes to entertaining the Cardinals, as it seemed like the Seahawks were babysitting them like they were their daddies or something. Because when it comes to this game, the Seahawks winning 20-10, it's not a huge defeat. No. When you think about the fact that the Cardinals are definitely at the point where they are showcasing the need for Kyler Murray. They need him to come back, except for you don't want to push the envelope too soon, because usually that type of injury takes a full year to recover from. And
that's true.
They just got owned out there on that field, as Joshua Dobbs had 19 throwing attempts for 19 completions for 33 attempts on 146 yards. That's not going to be enough to get it done against any NFL team. I feel like the type of work that they were doing the first few games of the year, where they were staying really in these games and keeping things really close, it's starting to fizzle out now if they don't get things together and start turning it around offensively, because defensively they're not terrible. I mean, they're only, giving up about 20 points a game. And if your offense is pretty decent, can score 2 to 3, touchdowns and convert on these possessions, you won't really have anything to worry about in that case. Except for now that you got your quarterback in there who came off the street a few weeks before the season started, and you don't have your franchise quarterback due to injury. So when I put all this together, you're lucky you're in the games as much as you are with the type of play you're getting throughout some big positions on this team. And the fact that Joshua Dobbs, very short amount of time with the team, has done the things he's done. He just didn't have quite enough to get it done this past week.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But shout out to the Seahawks for victory. They improved to 4-2. The Birds fall to 1-6. And this game seriously is
Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Not as bad as the Bears Raiders, but the Broncos Packers, it might be for the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. The Broncos did pull it out 19-17 over the Packers. Russell Wilson, who I believe is in his last year as a Bronco, 2029, 194 yards at the touchdown, and actually a good performance from him, although not great, but good enough. The defense of the Broncos gave you 145 rushing yards. For the losing cause, Jordan Love, 21-31 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And the offense gave them 137 rushing yards. But this game was just, ugh. Your thoughts, sir?
If you needed a great nap in that afternoon, this was a great game to watch. After, it's a 4:00 game, so dinner time's around there. It's a great game to eat your dinner and then take a nice old nap afterwards, because when you look at how this game was played overall, you look at Jordan Love, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, nothing to really get excited about. And Russell Wilson is proving each and every week that he does not deserve that contract that he got, and that his career is more than likely over. Or unless he wants to be a career backup, which I highly doubt it after.
I doubt that too.
In his career, the business ventures he's got outside of the game, his famous wife that he's got as well, they've got opportunities outside the game, and there's not any point in wasting time out there, potentially getting hurt or just embarrassing yourself even worse, because someone at the caliber that Russell Wilson was when he came into Denver from Seattle should not be putting up numbers like this. However, the overall team is just bad. It's not all on the quarterback, but a lot of it comes from the quarterback. And I feel like if you go to different situations throughout the league where it has been historically swapping out the quarterback, and then their tide basically shifts around and they start doing great things and it's more positive, that could be the spark that Sean Payton needs for this Denver Broncos team. However, you don't have that spark on your team right now. There's nobody better than Russell Wilson on that roster right now, in my opinion. So you might as well get the most out of your money at this point and keep throwing him out there for the rest of this year. And then during the offseason, decide whatever you're going to do with him. Trade him, release him. Just please do not go to the Commanders. And please, Commanders, do not make the mistake. However, I don't feel like they will, because the old ownership that was in the building used to make those calls, and we shouldn't see that happen from here on out there. Just, if you're going to go anywhere, please don't go to Washington.
Oh, Lord, that plea is absolutely funny. Okay. Well, I do agree with you. I think Russell Wilson's best days are over, and he's now venturing into the Cam Newton territory where he thinks he can start, but the NFL is going to say, did you see your recent tape? No, sir. He's going to have to eventually embrace being a backup to actually be on the field, or he won't be on the field at all. Jordan Love looks like he is still having his growing pains still show up. It's unfortunate for him. The Packers dropped to 2-4. The Broncos improved, if you want to call it that, to 2-5. God, that game was ugly. Now, a game that wasn't ugly, but for different reasons it wasn't. The Chargers went to Arrowhead to play against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, even though the score looked like it was a rout, 31-17, the game actually was close until the beginning of the fourth quarter. It was actually 24-17 Chiefs at the half. As Mahomes, he went for 32, 42, 424 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. 320 of those yards were in the first half. Travis Kelce, 12 receptions, 179 yards and a touchdown. 9 receptions and 143 of those yards was in the first half for him. The Chiefs defense made life mental for Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, putting him to the turf 5 times and picking him off twice. As Herbert threw for 17 of 30, 259 yards, and a touchdown to go along with those 2 picks. The Chargers offense looks like they want to run a little bit more, 139 rushing yards. But in this game, you would have thought that there wasn't a game that was being played. You would have thought it was Brittany, Mahomes, and Taylor Swift who was the focus of this game, which I could care less about. Your thoughts, sir?
The NFL was doing a pretty good job of staying away from the Swiftie for a little bit, at least for a game or so. But now it's getting out of hand again. Had to throw this up there, even though we'll acknowledge the comments here shortly. I have to say this. The QB is the captain of the ship. Even though you said this for the last game that we were talking about, the Broncos, I attribute this to this game right here, Sick Diggy, because when it comes to this game right here, the Chiefs led by Patrick Mahomes, and the dynamic duo of him and Kelsey. Without them, they would not have been relevant in this game, because that's what kept them in this game right here. 424 passing yards, along with 12 receptions and 179 yards and a touchdown from your tight end. That's awesome, legendary Hall of Fame numbers we have seen on a consistent basis. That the reason why this train keeps steamrolling as well as it does is because of these two players right here. Of course, they're led by the mastermind of Andy Reid, okay?
Yeah.
So you can only do but so much in coaching. The players still have to execute. And with what these dynamic duo of Kelsey and Mahomes are doing, they are not done winning Super Bowls yet. I don't know how many more, but I know they're at least going to get one more together, because the way they're playing is absolutely great to watch. Now, the Chargers have been stepping it up over the past few weeks, since you and I were throwing so much shade on them to start the year out because of the way they were starting the year out. And for you to do this against the defending Super Bowl champions, my hat's off to you there. You're improving. But you still have a lot more to do this season if you want to save your job there, Brandon Staley, because it didn't start off well, and if you don't end it well, it's not going to end well for you there for the Chargers.
Yes, I look at this game this way. I really was impressed with how the Chiefs wanted to take control of the whole game from jump, and they were extremely aggressive. And I love the fact that they wanted to make the Chargers know that they had to put forth their best effort, otherwise they were going to be left behind. So I love that effort from them. And the Chargers, they put up the fight for about a half or so. And it's unfortunate. They got talent. The leadership just isn't bringing them home. In fact, I am looking forward. Not saying looking forward as in I'm happily doing so. I mean, I'm expecting when I say looking forward. I'm looking forward to the vote of confidence from the Spanos family down to Staley saying, yes, he's our man, and going into the future, he will be the team. He'll be the guy that leads our team. I'm looking for that kiss of death happening, because that's going to happen very soon, because they are now 2-4. The Chiefs, they now improved to 6-1, and AFC West. Well, you're all accustomed to it. You're accustomed to looking up and see the Chiefs rule the roost. So it isn't something that's unsightly. It's something that you all should expect, because it's old hat and has been ever since Mahomes has been the starting quarterback of the Chiefs. Might as well happen this year too. To the Sunday night affair between the Dolphins and the Eagles, and the cute play that is called the tush push, or as Phillies called it, brotherly shove. It ended up being a factor in this game as well, as it contributed to one of the touchdowns that the Eagles scored, as the Eagles beat the Dolphins 31-17. Jalen Hurts went 23 of 31, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, an INT, and a lost fumble, along with, of course, the tush push touchdown, or brotherly shove touchdown. A.J. Brown, he had 10 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. For the Showtime Lakers Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, 23 of 32 passing, 216 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Tyreek Hill, he had 11 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. We understood the assignment, or I should say the Eagles defense understood the assignment. They were not going to get beat deep, and they were going to lay the lumber on the Dolphins as often as they possibly could. Your thoughts, sir?
The brotherly shove was definitely an impactful part of the game. I definitely agree with you on that. But the biggest thing that I think that I have to give the credit for is the Eagles defense here, because they iced the hottest offense in the league up to this point. Tyreek Hill, it's bad when we're saying that someone underperformed with 88 yards and a touchdown because of the way that he's played all year. There's a lot of wide receivers out there that would love to have 11 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. But Tyreek Hill underperformed based on what we've seen throughout the first 6 games leading up to this. So when I think about this right here, the Dolphins still have a great year ahead of them if they, this is like their worst game of the year. then the sky's the limit for them the rest of this year. If this is their worst game of the year to lose 31-17, that's still a respectable loss at the point of where you're at in this season. And it may give you that motivation to not let that happen again because of the way your season's been going this far. 216 yards, a touchdown, and interception. 2 is interception, along with the brotherly shove. I feel like were the 2 impactful parts of the game, aside from the Eagles defense stepping up against the Dolphins, because, you know, it could have been the throwback jerseys that the Eagles were wearing. That might have given them that little bit of extra to get through it. I don't know. But what I do know is the result of the game does speak volumes, except for the fact that you got to look at the running attack from the Dolphins as well. The Eagles did so great holding them that their top leading rusher in Mostert only had 45 yards on 9 carries. And we have talked about it several times in the past, and I don't think I'll ever stop talking about it. But when you don't establish the run, it's a recipe for disaster, and you're not going to do anything but spin tires every time you try to keep going, and they're going to stop you every time.
Preach, Drew. Preach, brother Drew. Preach. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Preach. Wonder. Even with this team that loves to want to be, basically, I call them football's version of the fast break offense. They want to spread you out. They want to beat you deep. They still need to run the ball. They still need to give you that, and they are effectively a team that can do it. But they need to give you that. They need to give you the presence of a run game so that you actually can be kept honest as a defense. Well, when you have, to me, man children such as Davis and Carter manning the interior defense for the Eagles, to me, the defensive interior cheat code for the NFL. Come on, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Good Lord. And that's your interior defense? Goodness gracious. When you have those two and they really are just laying into an offense, laying an offensive line and laying into a run game, ooh, your night will be made tougher. And that's what I saw Sunday night with them. Look, the Dolphins did as best as they could, but I have said this before. Actually, I've said this here. If a team can be physical as the Dolphins, their chances of beating them are greater. And that's what we saw with the Eagles. They bounced back. They decided to say, okay, you know what? I think we were a little less physical than we should have been against the Jets last Sunday. Let's show what we can do this Sunday. They did. They were more physical, and they dominated. Now, I give credit to that defense. Even though the Dolphins were 70 points, they only allowed 10. That defense did. So they came up, and they came up big. The Eagles, they improved to 6-1, and now they lead the NFC. The Dolphins, they dropped to 5-2, but they still lead the AFC East. Why? We will touch on that in the next 2 of 3 games. But to our Monday night, Hill. This came very close to being, well, you already know, but it wasn't. The Vikings did upset the 49ers, but it wasn't the biggest one of the weekend, 22-17. Kirk 2 Chainz Cousins, 35 of 45, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Jordan Addison, who decided to not have the lead foot, decided to show he was fleet of foot, 7 receptions, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdowns that Kirk Cousins threw. TJ Hawkinson decided to add in with 11 receptions, 86 yards. Brock Purdy for the losing cause, 21 of 30, 272 yards, a touchdown, and 2 INTs, both of them belonging to Cameron Bynum, who also gave you 9 tackles, 7 of them solo. Oh, and before I turn it over to Drew, Kirk Cousins threw for over 300 yards in a win for the Vikings this year. It is the first for this year for them. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, when it comes to this game right here,
Let me talk to you.
oh, it's time.
I was going to mention that too.
Time! Because all of the hype on one Brock Purdy
Oh, Lord.
And he was 10-0 as a career starter coming into 2 weeks ago. Now look at your boy. He's 0-2.
Here we go.
0-2 in the past 2 weeks. I bet there are some 49er fans out there that are squirming in their chairs as you hear me speak right now, if you are watching this live or syndicated. Because your shoe is shoved so far in one of your ends, and you have to figure out which end that is, because you need to remove it real quick, because there are people out there who just want to jump in and jump out of the show and not pay attention at different things. We have been saying it for weeks, or maybe not, Cole, but your time is coming to an end.
Yeah!
Absolutely. Because those of you who've been preaching that the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl.
Stop it. Get some help.
You are not going to the Super Bowl. Have you been watching the games by the Miami Dolphins? Have you been watching the games by the Chiefs? That's just the AFC. Have you watched the NFC and the Eagles? And then the Lions. So this past week, I was giving them some credit. And there are other teams along the NFC as well. The 49ers, if they continue to play the way they have been these past couple weeks, there's no way. And I mean no way that they are going to win, especially when you lose to the Vikings, who are a 2-4 team coming into this game, playing like a bunch of dumpster Pelicans. And then they come into this game against the overhyped 49ers. Yes, the 49ers are that one dumpster Pelican in the back, number 18. They are number 18, the one that had the Walmart bag stuck to its head. That is the one the 49ers are right now.
Lord have mercy. Why is he labeling those Pelicans? Okay. Goodness gracious. Sometimes I just simply can't take you anywhere. I agree. I think a lot of people, especially after the Cowboys game, they were wanting to shove, oh, yes, the 49ers are Super Bowl bound. I'm like, I mean, they're contenders. I wouldn't call them favorites. I still felt the Eagles were favorites. I was just saying, okay, they just haven't played their best game yet. I've said the 49ers have looked the best, but not these past 2 weeks, because they have absolutely been atrocious on offense, only managing 17 points in back-to-back games. And against the Browns, it's understandable because that defense is rather stout. Against the Vikings, though, nah.
That's why it all the hype the last week. And you and I both, we were saying it last week that give the credit to the Browns there. The defense definitely so, and they've been a great defense for a little bit of time now, which has been keeping them relevant these past few years, even when Bunker was there. Okay,
Right.
But now when you lose, like you said, to the Vikings, who started this year off so cold that I was also almost calling for Kevin O'Connell's head until they started winning these past couple weeks.
Yeah.
So for you to lose, even though you can't let that record fool you because of what they did last year, even though they're not the same team they were last year, you can't completely snooze on the Vikings, and that's what the 49ers did. When you show up to work late, you can't have somebody else carry you through, which is what the 49ers expected to happen. They need to get their attitude in check and realize that there's no way you're going to make it to the Super Bowl at what you've done past 2 weeks. Turn the ship around, get together, so that way you can do what you're meant to do out here in these streets.
Agreed. So the 49ers, they dropped to 5-2, and they also dropped being one of the two stalwarts in front of the NFC. The Vikings improved to 3-4, where they started 1-4. It looks like they're trying to turn the corner. They still have a long ways to go, though. Oh, but now we're getting to the two games of the week that were the most interesting of them all. The Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, they got together at Foxborough. A lowly team in the Patriots, they just simply haven't had it for most of this season. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills, they are the AFC East front runners and an AFC contender. I mean, there is a possible way that the Patriots could beat the Bills. That's why they play the games. And that's why they played this one, as the Patriots beat the Bills 29-25. Mac Jones, who I couldn't believe he reverted back to his rookie season, actually looking good. 25-30, 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the losing effort, Josh Allen, 27 of 41, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, and a loss. In the words of Chris Berman, wow.
Why? Well, when I think about what Chef Boyard Belichick did by putting spices in his mac and cheese, you see what happened in this past week. And I have to give a little bit of credit to old Bill Belichick, because when I think about this right now, Chef Boyard Belichick definitely threw the spices he needed up in the mac and cheese to get things going, because mac and cheese has definitely been iced out, ice cold at the first part of this season. 272 passing yards, 2 touchdowns with no picks. And to top it off, at 11 rushing yards on top of that, to add to a, probably for his type of performance this year, a stellar performance for Mac and Cheese. Now, the Patriots, right here, coming into this game, they were struggling. Right now, you're at 2-5. You were 1-5 coming into this game, a lot like a team we also have been talking about. They've been playing like dumpster Pelicans lately, and that is the New York Giants. And my team let me down this past week by losing to that. Yes, probably the 6th Pelican in the back, I gotta say, is the Giants. Okay. Number 5 right now is the Patriots. And now when I look at the way that this game has gone, Josh Allen, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, wasn't enough to get it done. But what I feel like in the games we talked about earlier on this slate, I feel like that interception that was thrown by Josh Allen definitely impacted this game, because had he not turned that ball over at that point, we won't be talking about spices and mac and cheese right now from the Patriots.
Well, we wouldn't be. But since it happened, we are. And we'll touch on a little bit of old Hoodie momentarily. But the Patriots, they improved to 2-5. Goodness gracious. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills disappointingly dropped to 4-3, and after that 48-20 delightful victory at home against the Dolphins, they have looked pedestrian at best, especially in their win against the Giants, where they needed the referees to swallow the whistle to eke out a 14-9 victory. The Bills are going backwards. The Patriots, yeah, they're still going backwards. Goodness gracious. And now we come up onto the game of Week 7. And that game happens to be the Browns going into Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Browns offense, they rushed for 150 yards and sacked Gardner Minshew II 4 times. And speaking of Gardner Minshew II, 15 of 23, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, a pick, and a loss. Along with the Colts offense giving him 168 rushing yards. But Myles Garrett was the stud in this one. 9 tackles, 2 sacks, and a blocked field goal. The Browns beat the Colts controversially, 39-38. And I've heard from Colts fan, they feel as though they got cheated because of 2 penalties. One of them being pass interference, the other being illegal contact that came off of a strip sack fumble that was supposedly icing the game in the Colts' favor. Your thoughts, sir?
All right, people.
Let me talk to you.
When it comes to this game right here, I agree wholeheartedly that it definitely is the game of the week. What I am disappointed in is Uncle Rico, because Uncle Rico showed up and showed out in this game, throwing for over 300 yards. But I've said it enough so far in this slate. That interception that he threw was a turning point in this game right here, because Deshaun Watson was knocked out early. You know, it took that, hit the head or whatnot off the turf. And then in comes, P.J. Walker. And P.J. Walker, bouncing around the league, he was with Carolina at one point and then coming over here to Cleveland. Didn't put up stellar numbers to get this victory, 178 yards with an interception as well. But what really helped out this is Jerome Ford stepping up with the carries and getting 74 total yards to establish the run and keep things moving, along with that defensive play by the Browns, like you said, because Denzel Ward, the interception that he had, I felt like off of Uncle Rico was one of those shifting points to where I felt like in that moment, Uncle Rico's time is done in this game. The Browns are going to get the victory here. But I can't throw shade really on Uncle Rico besides that play right there, because he was doing the best he could for a team that did as bad as they did last year. They came close to almost getting their 4th win of the year and staying relevant with the remainder of the NFL as far as a team that could potentially go to the postseason if they continue to improve and get hot.
I actually got a chance to see the game and as it unfolded. It was really interesting for many reasons. The most of which, the fact that the Browns actually had this victory and Deshaun Watson was held out of the game. And the reason why I say held out instead of knocked out is because it looked like he was able to get back in the game, but there was no concussion protocol that was pronounced on him. He looked like he could get around well, but no, he was stood on the bench. Interesting in thought process. I really enjoyed seeing how the game was unfolding, because I was thinking, okay, and my thought was, well, it looks like Minshew will get a win as a starter here, and I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I did have the thought when I saw the strip sack fumble recovery for the Colts, which that's how Colts fans will paint it. But when it was a flag that nullified the play, my thought was, okay, this game's going to be marred because of that. But I was like, okay, I think that could be erased. The next penalty, which was the next play, I said, yes, I know now it's going to be marred because they called pass interference, and Wilt Chamberlain couldn't catch that pass that was thrown to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Could not catch that. It was over his head. There was no way he could have caught that. Now, was he held? Yes, but it wasn't pass interference. So I was like, okay. So I know this is going to be really, really horrible. But it was a good game. Unfortunately, the Colts, they fall to 3-4. The surprisingly good, although messy, that's the best way I could put it. Browns, they improved to 4-2. Yeah, a wonderful start to the season for them. Hopefully, they can do good and big things. And actually, that concludes the opening drive. Stay tuned for the rest of the show as we go gridiron scoop hunting.
All right, let's go. We got trips right at 42, 989 on 2. Ready? Break.
We're just getting started. Total Football Talk will return right after this.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. New Kids on the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Ready to hang with some fellas who know football? Let's ride. LC Muscles 28.
I think they're the most overrated defense in the league.
Steel Sermon.
We did not trail for a single second.
Tiny Tim.
McCarthy is a bonehead.
A Pistol 90.
I'm going with my boys. Fins up, baby!
Get ready for the Four Horsemen of Pick'ems. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, on YouTube. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk. I am Cole Johnson. I'll be joined momentarily by my co-host Drew Willingham in a moment. And we will give our wonderful chat some love right now. Mickey, appreciate you. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Dante Haley says, what's up, guys? Hopefully everything's good with you, Dante. Yeah. Now we are rejoined by Mr. Drew Willingham. Thank you, Mickey, for sharing the show, and I'm glad you liked it as well. We like you here. Appreciate that. Oh, let me see. Sig, of course, is here. Sig Diggy joining us all the way from Norway. We appreciate you, brother. Of course, we addressed the QB as the captain of the ship in the early in the segment, early in the show. Sig, of course, he's wanting to actually give you ads, but I'll do the ad in a minute. VLock83 or Victor Lock or Vicalock says early edition of Total Football Talk. We will get to that as to why it is early at the end of the show. But yes, this is actually going to be a more recurring theme, as it's going to be a permanent one.
And Vic, if you're on a time crunch, if you go back to last week's episode and watch the very end, we definitely explained it there too. But we'll tell you again at the end of this show.
Yeah. He also says, the big game hunter or dumpster pelican says, say true. He already gave me my greeting this morning. And here's Sick with his ad. This rant by Drew Willingham is brought to you by Peanut Butter and Jealous, brand new Halloween line, including Jack-o'-lantern marmalade, Bloody Slash strawberry, Ocean Deep blueberry, and Darkness blackberry. Oh, also coming is the spooky forest berries. And sleazeball meaty subs. Don't beat the meat. Don't toss the salad. Just enjoy the sub. Only you, Sick. Only you. Only you. He also says, look, the Commanders should be renamed the Followers if they lose this next game.
If they lose the next game, they might as well just change to Dumpster Pelicans. The Washington Dumpster Pelicans. That's how I feel.
And a good friend of the show, a definitely good friend of Drew, and starting to be a good friend of mine. Dustin says, yo, what's up, man?
Ike, bring us some more context. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for the comments. Look forward to seeing what you guys have for the rest of the show as well.
Yeah. And speaking of the rest of the show, here's the next one, the Gridiron Scoop. I do say was a big part of the Titans defense for a few years. He now has been traded. And one of the best defensive performances of the season with the Eagles on Sunday, they may have added another piece to that vaunted squad. They're acquiring the two-time All-Pro safety from the Titans. And Nick Sirianni, the coach of the team, confirmed it yesterday. The Titans will receive a 5th and 6th round draft picks for next year's draft, as well as safety Terrell Edmonds, a person familiar with the USA Today spokesperson, said to the communications media outlet. Now, my question to you, although the trade has not been official yet, and the 30-year-old is now a member of the Eagles, how should I word this? All right, how much more dangerous does Kevin Byard make the Eagles?
I mean, the Eagles are definitely addressing needs they needed to make during the offseason. This may be coming during the season, but they needed this last year because there's certain moves, there's certain plays within that game of the Super Bowl that would have gone a different way had they addressed the secondary a little bit better during the previous offseason. So when I think about all that, and I think about, what they did in the draft this past year with Jalen Carter and all that stuff, bringing him in too, and he's, definitely made some impacts here and there. The Eagles defense has definitely stepped up more this year, and especially over the coming weeks, over the past few weeks as well, with what we saw and what we just talked about earlier being the Dolphins game, and then probably facing the hottest offense of the entire league this year, and what the Eagles did with that. So this only adds an extra layer to that. They're gearing up for a rematch in the Super Bowl between them and the Chiefs, because even though on paper the Dolphins team is the hottest offense this year, the Chiefs are the team to beat, because they are literally the Houston Astros of the NFL right now.
Yeah, they are, and I really have no bones of saying that either. I think that the Eagles, even though yes they are 6-1, just like the Chiefs are, they just haven't put it together quite yet. The closest they came has been Sunday, but I do like this move for them. I think they needed to shore this up because I think teams were thinking, well, we can beat them deep. Just we have to give our quarterback time to beat them deep. Now it might be a little more difficult. So, yeah, more power to them. I'll wind it up with the Eagles. And as for the Titans, can you say fire sale? I knew you. We all know that it has been well, let me do this Total Football Talk way. Now, we all know it has been a dumpster pelican fest for the Patriots. We all know this. It's been a horrible season for them, especially for the head coach / general manager of the Patriots, Bill Belichick. But the 29-25 victory that we talked about to almost end opening drive, it was the 300th in the regular season victory-wise for the Hoodie. Now, the Patriots, of course, were the underdogs of this matchup against the Bills, and rightfully so, but they snapped the 3-game losing streak with the win. It also snaps a 3-game losing streak against the Bills, too. Now, Belichick, in light of the victory, he had this to say about the honor. Quote, I mean, it's great. I'm really more focused on our team than this year. We'll worry about that later. Thank you. Close quote. Now, my question to you. Will this win save Bill Belichick's job as a head coach? I know it won't save it as a general manager, but will it save his head coaching job?
Well, at least his job is laser focused into this current schedule of nobody cares, Bill Belichick, because you just got your 300th career victory and you should be celebrating it like it's a Super Bowl because your team is 2-5 and you had to throw some spices in the mac and cheese just to get this game 300th victory because you may lose another 13 games this season and be 2-13 by the end of this. You should be counting your lucky stars that the spices were in mac and cheese for you to get that 300th victory this weekend because there may be no other opportunity to get it.
Goodness gracious. Calling it mac and cheese and then cheese. That's a shame. I'm sorry. I forgot one other quote to that. I'm sorry. Let me do this again. Quote. I mean, it's great. I'm really more focused on our team, and this year we'll worry about that later. Thank you. We're on to Miami. Close quote. I don't know
You're
why
on to a loss against Miami. Is what you're
don't
on
know.
to.
I don't know why he acts as though he is death warmed over when he is in press conferences, but geez, give up the act.
If you've ever
Goodness
watched a
gracious.
Football Life from back in the day with Bill Belichick, I think it was like the 2009 season that they had him on there.
Mhm.
He said more words in that entire show for his football life than he has in all of his press conferences combined throughout his entire career.
Mhm. I mean, that guy tries to play close to the vest all the time. Goodness gracious. Oh well. Well, congratulations to you, Hoodie. 300 victory. You're one of the greatest ever, although you're not one of the greatest right now. And it's due to you being the horrible general manager that you are that put you there. Andy Reid, as a fan of the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift romance, the Chiefs coach said in a post-game press conference, quote, Taylor can stay around all she wants. Oh, and Kelce keeps getting better with time. Close quote. Now, of course, that was said in the 31-17 victory over the Chargers this past Sunday. Swift took in all the sights in Arrowhead as she once again attended the game. She made now her fourth appearance at the Chiefs game, and it was complete with some guffaws, some slaps of hands, and a celebratory handshake with Brittany Mahomes after the Patrick Mahomes touchdown pass in the second quarter. Now, my question to you, sir. Why is today NFL fans so bent out of shape because these TV networks gratuitously show Taylor Swift?
Because they're jealous. Because they're jealous because they want to be Travis Kelce. They're tired of seeing Taylor Swift up there with the secret handshakes and, with everything that is on the inside club of the Kansas City Chiefs. But if I were Andy Reid, I'd be encouraging this too, because unless it's a distraction and he's not playing well, we've seen the exact opposite. That just goes to show you how special of a talent that Travis Kelce is, along with the talent of this team, because nobody's getting bewildered or anything when it comes, or befuddled or anything when it comes to how they're showing up and showing out each and every week. Their one loss you can't even attribute to Taylor Swift, because I don't even think she was at that game.
Nope.
So, especially when you see the secret handshake, you can tell that Patrick Mahomes' wife is a Swiftie.
Yeah, she is. And you know what? Cool. More power to you, Brittany. I'm glad you're a Swiftie. I think that's awesome. I really do. Look, if it helps the team win and you get to see her gratuitously shown, it doesn't affect me. As long as it's not like, I don't know, O.J. Simpson interrupting the NBA Finals. As long as it's not that, I'm fine with it. So keep showing Taylor Swift. Keep showing the celebratory handshakes. Keep showing her being all entrenched in seeing her man succeed, having her be all engrossed in the action, having her have a drink. I don't care. Show her as often as you want. Just as long as you show the action on the field, I can care less. I really can. Six says there was a whole lot of Tabasco sauce in that mac and cheese. And Ike's like, mac and cheese.
Yeah, he loves the mac and cheese, I guess.
Yeah. But look, if Taylor Swift is basically like a good luck charm for the Chiefs, more power to him. And if she isn't a distraction to the team, even better. It actually means that she actually is a good fan, and I'm happy to see that she's knowledgeable of the fact she didn't get in the way of the team, and then she's more important to the team, and she respects Travis Kelce and his role on it. I actually am gaining more respect for her because of that. So you can rail against her all you want. I don't care. She's not affecting me. She's not affecting you either. Enjoy, please. Goodness gracious. They're two people in their mid-30s. Let them enjoy their romance. Let them live their best life. Goodness gracious.
Total Football Talk.
Oh, yeah. Where are my dogs at? It's time to award the grand champ, or the grand champs, for Week 7 of the 2023 season. And for his grand champ, or the dog of the week, Drew.
It's a tough one for me this week because there are many players that showed up. I mean, you look at Kirk Cousins and what he did against the 49ers. That's one person that did the same right there. Yeah. You got Mahomes with 424 yards and 4 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, is hard to even say that he stepped up by helping lead this team to a victory, but I can't give it to him because he had under 200 yards. Kenny Pickett, of all people, is a part of my list here, but the person that I have to give my dog of the week to is someone that we were giving so much praise to earlier, and that is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson in his MVP-like numbers this past weekend. I mean, the man threw for over 300 yards, 357 yards for exact, was 21 out of 27 attempts, only had 6 incomplete passes. And he had 3 passing touchdowns along with a rushing touchdown. Now, he did have a lost fumble, but it didn't affect the game to where they lost the game. Had he lost the game, then I wouldn't be giving him the dog of the week this week, even with those greatest stats, because if the lost fumble or multiple fumbles would have cost him the game, which in this case it didn't, because you look at who they played, and when it came to this game right here, it definitely looked like the Lions took a bite out of dumpster Pelican cereal, because it definitely affected their afternoon that day. So when it comes to my dog of the week, I give it to Lamar Jackson.
Very good choice. Very good choice. And he would have been one of mine. And I cannot hate on that at all. Yeah, I love that. Well, my dog of the week is Taylor Swift. Why? Zig Diggy says, I got 2 words for that. Who cares? Exactly. No. Although I do appreciate her and I have respect for her. No. She didn't play in the field, so I can't award it to her. Look, the AFC North looks like it's going to be a race now. It just has that look now. And the Bengals, who are the worst team of them, they actually can still compete for the division crown. You have the Steelers, who are 4-2. You have the Ravens, who are 5-2. You have the Browns, who are 4-2. And that is where I'm going to go with my dog of the week. Mr. Myles Garrett, you deserve this honor, my friend. 9 tackles, 2 sacks, a strip fumble sack, and a blocked field goal. I mean, it is because of you the Browns won that game in Indy. And I've been talking about this with my friends. We can rave about what many have done on the offensive end, and there's some really good offensive performers. Heck, I mean, Drew just mentioned one of them. But this year on defense, we have talked about Myles Garrett, and I'm not talking about here on Total Football, so I'm talking about my friends. We have talked endlessly about Myles Garrett, and then he goes out and has this game. My friend, I'm glad that you now put it together, because you are the unquestioned leader of the Browns now, and now they're taking their cues after you, my friend. Congratulations, brother. You deserve this honor. You are a straight up dog, and you are a grand champ, my friend. Take that bow, brother. And we'll be right back with Featured Attractions.
Coming up next, the Featured Attractions. This is Total Football Talk. Comey Media Incorporated. Creating content magic in the real world.
Yeah. But hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets? Come on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. $sign DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. Slide some Willie Bucks.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show. BS3 Network proudly presents.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
Sertoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk. We'll be joined momentarily by Drew Willingham. I am Cole Johnson. Man, y'all are so good. It is good to see our brother, Snowman. What's up, brother? I hope everything is good with you. I hope everything is wonderful in your world. It is a great Tuesday. Glad to have you all here. As I said, my co-host is joining me now. And join me right on time, because now it is time for this. This is where we focus on the biggest matchups of the upcoming week. And we will start with the game in Dallas. No, Fort Worth. No, Arlington. Technically, that's where AT&T Stadium is. The Cowboys are 4-2. They host the 3-4 Rams. The Cowboys coming off their bye. They are 6.5-point favorites. The kickoff is at 1 p.m. on Sunday, noon local time. Let's start with the Rams. They seem to have had issues with balance, but the last 2 weeks they seem to be a little more balanced. Is it possible that the Rams can be committed to being balanced on offense?
Well, things we were talking about over the past few weeks, them not establishing the run correctly, and then they finally get it going over the past couple of weeks. If they continue to do those things, then the sky's the limit for them, because they've shown they can do it in the past, even though their teams are not the same. Even though the team now isn't the same as what they had in the past. But to lose 24-17 was pretty respectable overall. But you've got to change things up in LA if you're going to be able to change the course for this team.
Ooh, man, you could not have said any better. Of course, our brother Snowman says, "Sissy through." Snowman's in the house. It's great to see you, brother. And I totally agree with you. I think they do need to be more committed to it. And if they can, I think their success rate will be better. And their whole team will be helped out. Switching to the other side of the ball. For the balance of this year, we have seen the Cowboys defense basically carry the load. Not saying they've been great all the while. I mean, heck, they've had 2 stinkers, but still, they have carried the load while the offenses, they putted their way through the season. Is the defense getting tired of carrying the Cowboys offense thus far?
They appear that way because when you have to do the amount of work that you have to, and you're also missing Trayvon Diggs on top of that, who's definitely a big impact to the defensive team. I got to say, when it comes to this defense of the Cowboys, they've been doing the best they can to carry this team. But when your quarterback, who is getting paid the amount of money that he's getting paid, is not showing up, that is a huge, huge problem if you are a fan of the Cowboys to see on a weekly basis, because the Cowboys, when it comes to their offense, is not doing their job, especially when you look at the fact that they barely won that last week game against the Chargers 20-17. Now, Dak Prescott did have 272 yards and a touchdown, 21-30, but when you have a running game that's led by your quarterback of 7 carries and 40 yards with 1 touchdown, that is throwing a bunch of red flags when your top running back, who's second on that list, has 15 carries for 30 yards against the Chargers. So, yes, I would have to say that the Cowboys defense is feeling tired of carrying the offense throughout the trajectory of each game.
Yeah, and it just, that was the vibe I got last Monday night when I saw them. I was like, looks like the defense is starting to tire a bit, because the offense is just not pulling their weight, and I'm seeing it. Now, I'm not saying that I've seen the defense snap the offense. I'm just saying the product on the field is what I'm seeing. And you so eloquently stated exactly what I was thinking, because I thought it was just me. So who do you have in this game between the Rams and the Cowboys?
Well, considering that the Rams are just now really starting to establish their run, as far as the running attack, and the Cowboys have been doing a really good job at holding and containing the run, regardless of how bad the offense plays, because of the holes within the entire play of the Rams this year. I have to say, I feel like the Cowboys are going to edge this one out.
That's a good prediction, because I see the same thing. I think the Cowboys' run defense is just a tad bit better than the Rams' run offense, and I think that's the difference to me. I think for the Rams to win, they're going to have to crack that defensive interior of the Cowboys and open that defense up to guess what they're going to do next. And I don't think that run offense is good enough to do that. So I also go with the Cowboys too. Another Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff. This game is between the Saints at 3-4 against the Colts at 3-4. The Colts are the ever so slight home favorite, 1 point. For the Saints, look, I want to invest in this team. People are saying, the defense is actually pretty good. And then they have the defensively, they have the stinker that they had against the Jaguars at home last Thursday. The offense just hasn't gotten on track. Now, you can say, well, they did put up 34 points against the Patriots. It was the Patriots. Besides that game, the Saints have struggled everywhere against every other team. So my question to you about them is, what will it take for the Saints to play a more consistent brand of football?
I feel like they need to find a better way. I mean, I've been mixing this in with a lot of teams, but their running game is not working well in New Orleans either. When you've got Derek Carr throwing 55 passing attempts in the past game, way too many throws. You got to spread it out a little bit, because at least try to take 10 throws out of his hand for the next game, and give those plays to the running backs, because if you're not trying out there to mix it up, they're going to be able to pick it up, which is why he only completed 31 of 55 passes. So that's way too many pass attempts with not enough completions to garner those pass attempts. Now, if you were like 48 of 55 or something like that, I would say okay.
Different. That's different.
Because but how often do we see somebody complete 48 of 55? Yeah, I've seen people complete like the one. I can't remember who did it, but somebody did 41 of 44. It was a long time ago. I can't remember who it was, but 41 of 44 is what was stuck in my head at one point. But yeah, 55 pass attempts is usually a recipe for disaster. In New Orleans, they got to find a way to switch some things up and get a little less predictable when it comes to their play call.
I agree. I think a lot of people know what they're doing. Now, what might help them is Alvin Kamara coming back and basically having be Mr. Everything, but only he could do, but only so much. And you can only go to Chris Olave only, but so much too. So, they got to spread it out. And it's almost the same. It's almost the same tale as the Cowboys. I think the Saints defense is starting to tire of carrying the load and the weight of the offense not being on the same page. Now, switching to the other side, look, I love the Colts fight. I think this team is scrappy. We saw that in the L they took Sunday to the Browns. They're scrappy. If they're in it, they feel as though they can win it. And I love that about them. However, that L that he did take against the Browns, that's one of those types of losses that could be debilitating and could deflate a team for the rest of the season. Can the Colts bounce back from the end of that game against the Browns going into this Sunday's game against the Saints?
It's going to be interesting if they can, because, I mean, it wasn't like they got slaughtered. They only lost by a point. I feel like, if anything, those type of games kind of uplift you more than beat you down. So I feel like they have a chance to bounce back in this game against the Saints because they're playing equal competition as far as the record. And Gardner Minshew, Uncle Rico, has shown moments of flashes already throughout this season that he deserves to be a starting quarterback if given the right opportunity in the right city. So I feel like they can definitely bounce back for this week.
Yeah. I don't think it's from that standpoint. I think it's from the standpoint to me, a standpoint of, we were this close, but this far. But yeah, I get what you mean. It probably would give them more of that motivation factor of, it was just one more play we would have gotten, and now we can make this next play, this one more play in this next game that would be the difference between victory and a loss. So yeah, I agree there. So who do you have against the Colts and the Saints, sir?
I think Uncle Rico leads them to victory at home.
Yeah, the Saints they just leave me unimpressed at times, and they're unimpressive. To me, this team defensively can hang with the Colts, and I think they can beat them. I just don't see it in this game because I think the Colts. I think the Colts just have too much fight for the Saints to conquer. So I also pick the Colts too. Now, rooting for the Saints, but I'll pick the Colts. And Lissette and all. And another Sunday 1 p.m. kick. This one between the 5-2 Jaguars and the 4-2 Steelers. They're going to be in Acrisure Stadium. Yes, I know it used to be called Heinz Field, but it's now called Acrisure Stadium because Heinz didn't pay the bill. Jaguars are the road favorites by 2. Again, kickoff is at 1 p.m. on Sunday. For the Jags, ever since their road trip to London, they seem to have gotten going after the losses they took to the Chiefs and the Texans. It looks like that they have turned the corner. It looks like they have. Is it possible for the Jaguars? Is it possible that we're seeing the Jaguars building off of their 3-game winning streak?
I would think so. I mean, they definitely seemed improved, and especially with the way they got the win this past weekend. So I definitely feel like it's possible for them to build off of it, especially when you're playing a lackluster team like the Steelers.
Yeah. And I think the Jags could give the Steelers defense trouble with how they are if Trevor Lawrence spread the ball around, if Calvin Ridley can be a big factor in the game, and if Travis Etienne can keep that pass rush honest. But speaking of the Steelers, one of the things that I'm loving about them is that I'm seeing that they defensively want to get after you with speed and a little bit of physicality, because they can hang with the physicality, but they're athletic enough to where they can hang with you there too. Offensively, they seem to want to grind it and make it absolutely ugly. The uglier the game, the better the chances for the Steelers to come up with W's. So have the Steelers finally settled into their identity?
Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
That's all I got.
Oh my gosh. That was good. That was good. That was
That's
good.
going to be a short later.
That was well done. Tip of the cap to you, sir. All right, so who do you have between the Jaguars and the Steelers?
Well, if people didn't pick up what I was throwing down on that one, I'm definitely going to go with the Jaguars in this one. Because Kenny, they showed up this past weekend, but I just don't feel like they're going to be able to keep that up against the Jaguars.
Yeah. The only way for the Steelers to win this game is they gotta repeat what they did in the Monday night win they had against the Browns, where that offense is just pure ugly, but the defense actually gave them 2 touchdowns. They're gonna have to do something like that to beat the Jaguars. And yes, I know this is in Pittsburgh, but they don't have what it takes to beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars are more talented on both sides of the ball than the Steelers are, and I think the Jaguars are for real. I think they're going to run their record up to 62, and I think they're going to, I won't say easy, but I think they're going to have a convincing time doing so. Similar to how they looked so Thursday. I think we're going to see something like that this coming Sunday between them. And stay tuned for the rest of our picks in the 2-minute drill segment, but that's later in the show. But next, of course, we got chopping block and snowflakes to award.
Next, the chopping block and snowflake of the week. This is Total Football Talk. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kermit the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. On YouTube and where you can find all podcasts. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, W-I-Z-E.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. Football, and more football, you say? Well, tune in to Total Football Talk. Join your hosts, Drew Willingham.
You were playing like a dumpster Pelican quarterback.
And Cole Johnson.
It sets up for possible play action. Did you hear that, Dak Prescott?
As they take you through all the paces, both on the field and in the boardroom, of Total Football Talk. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, exclusively on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media Incorporated YouTube channel.
Go ahead and tell them now, Cole.
Welcome back to Total Football Talk, joined by Drew Willingham. I am Cole Johnson. Yes, Total Football Talk will be moving to the mornings on Tuesday. This, as you saw today, we aired at 11 a.m. On Halloween, we'll also air at 11 a.m., but the new time will be even earlier than that. And stay tuned at the end of the program as to when that new time will be, or go to the end of last week's show, but don't leave this one, though, because more excitement is to come here. As we are getting more and more excitement with Total Football Talk. And speaking of excitement, we got some people to place on the chopping block. Let's start with your Commanders, shall we? The defensive lineman for the Commanders, Jonathan Allen. How can I put this? He didn't mince words. He was asked about the 14-7 loss that they took to the Giants on Sunday, and when a reporter asked him to evaluate said loss, the response was rather blunt. How blunt? Quote, "They whooped our behinds. Plain and simple. Gotta be better."
Well, he followed that up with,
close quote. Oh, go ahead, sir.
My bad. But he followed that up with, "This has been 7 years of this," is basically, in his opinion, because they're not improving on that side of the ball, which pretty much it's his way of indirectly saying you need to fire Jack Del Rio and change things up with the defensive scheme because it's just not working. You gave up 14 points to the 1-5, now celebrating their victory like it's a Super Bowl win, youngster Pelican Giants. So you, Jack Del Rio, should already be cleaning out your office now that you just got back to Landover from your trip yesterday. That's why they probably are waiting till tomorrow to announce it, to give him time to clean out his office. Because if it were me, I would be telling him to pack his bags right now.
But wait a minute, though. The defense only gave up 14 points.
Against the dumpster Pelican team! They should have gave up 0. That's when you get VKM to stroll down to Landover and save it.
Yeah! Oh my goodness. So the question was going to be asked. So who do you think is going to be the one to be dismissed? Obviously, my partner thinks the defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio will be, and I agree. I think it's going to be him. And unfortunately, it's not because. Well, wait a minute. His defense only gave up 14 points this past Sunday. No, it's the 40 points given up to the Bears. It's the 37 points they gave it to the Bills. It's the 37 points he gave up to the Eagles, and that's for this year. So it's an accumulation of things, probably from the past too, but definitely of this year. We'd say, yeah, we need to improve this on this side of the ball, and it has not improved in a bit. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Poor Del Rio.
Who's giving them the business?
Now, a person that I won't say poor would be Denver Broncos safety Kareem Jackson. Why? Because he will be off the field for a little bit of time. The NFL suspended the safety 4 games without pay for violations of unnecessary roughness following this Sunday's win against the Packers. Now, the league announced yesterday that Jackson's suspension comes after he was ejected for a sideline hit on Packers tight end Luke Musgrave. Now, the Vice President of NFL Vice President of Football Operations, John Runyon, he had this to say about the suspension and the incident that caused it. Quote, "On the play in question, you delivered a forceful blow to the head/neck area of a defenseless receiver when you had the time and space to avoid such contact. You could have made contact with your opponent within the rules, yet you chose not to. Close quote. Now, before I turn it over to you, this serves you right, Mr. Jackson, because you were a waste of space as a Texan, and now you've proven to be a waste of space as a Bronco. I've been wanting to say that for years. And I feel so good now. Now, your question, sir. Do you believe the punishment is excessive or not harsh enough?
First of all, before I answer that, this guy needs to go to his mama and say, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Who I am for real." Now, you are not for real because you just got suspended because you made a horrific mistake out here in these streets or out here on this field there, Kareem Jackson. So, do I feel it's harsh enough? I absolutely do. Now go sing to your mama.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Oh, me and your daughter got special. You say it's puppy. I'm sorry, my bad. Keep going, man. Yeah, look. Oh, yes, I could keep going on. But I agree. I think this was actually just right, personally. Look, Kareem, I hate to say it, sir. Your time of being ineffective, I think, has come to an end. Oh well, sir. See ya.
Hey. Who's giving them the business?
I'm sorry, let me do this correctly. And then there is this.
It's gonna be good.
Cleveland Deshaun Watson returned from a 2-game absence because of a shoulder injury. Exit Sunday's game against the Colts after hitting the back of his head following a tackle. Now, Watson cleared concussion protocol when he was evaluated on the field in the first half. The Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski decided that Watson would be better off the sideline for the rest of the game. No, sir. This is what happened. This is exactly what happened. Hey, baby. You know the deal. I have a headache. And my shoulder's getting better, but I have a headache. I need relief. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Yeah. I need relief. I need to feel that relief. Oh my gosh, that skin just glows. Pigskin don't have nothing on you, baby girl. Oh my gosh, just twirl that hair real fast. Twirl it. Yeah. I just love the way you stand. I love the way you don't touch me either. Okay, I'm gone. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get serious here. So, how long do you give Deshaun Watson being a Brown till he's out of there?
Well, first of all, it sounds like he needs it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Because what he's receiving isn't working out.
No,
he is being the recipient of too much R&Ts over there because you can't even take one hit to where you are out the game looking all befuddled on the sideline. So when I think about this situation right here, and I think about Deshaun Watson, they are screwed with this contract that they gave him. Because even if you let him go, you still got to pay him the type of money you get. You guaranteed it all. So you're stupid. So yes, when I think about all of this, it's if he continues to play the way he is or contribute, I will say, which is very not much, is very lack thereof. If he doesn't contribute what that contract equates to, I feel like they're going to let him go this offseason, but it's still going to cripple your franchise because unless you get certain type of compensation in return if you trade him, who's going to trade the compensation enough value to balance out that contract? There's no way.
Nobody. I'm sorry.
Spot on. So eventually he's going to hear these words. Bring it in, Stone. What? Because even LA Knight.
Let me talk.
And when he says that, the only thing I have at the end of that to throw into it is
acknowledge me.
That's all I have.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Roman Reigns. Okay. Yeah, the Browns need to hurry up and get rid of that contract, unfortunately, because I think he's not going to contribute much. You've seen the little bit that he could in the last year. You've seen what he has done so far this year, which has really not been much. And he is definitely not what you saw and even 5 years ago. And now you're sort of with this $230 million check that you've already coughed and sent out the door. Yeah. Goodness gracious. But hey, Jimmy Haslam, you did go after your quarterback, right? Congratulations. He actually qualifies to be this next segment, but there's others who qualify for it too.
Total football talk.
Oh, yeah, we may be 2 months away from Christmas, but it isn't for Christmas time. This is for Snowflake of the Week. And you know what this is about. This is about the ones who are horrible. And for Drew Snowflake, I cede the floor to him.
The entire Washington Commanders offensive line is who I'm throwing in for the Snowflakes of the Week. I'm taking it up to another level right here because when it comes to this offense right here, everyone feels this way.
Ain't nobody care. Who cares? Ain't nobody care.
And the reason why people don't care is because they don't want to watch the monstrosity of what's going on with this offense. The defense is what's been keeping them close in the games, along with Sam Howell when he's had the opportunity to dance around the pocket and keep the play alive. The only reason why he had that near 400-yard passing game a couple weeks ago is because he was running for his life back there. But this past week, he couldn't do that because you gave up 6 sacks in the first half. And it took stepping up just a little bit in the second half to keep it from where you didn't have any other sacks for the second half. And he was able to at least get you to help get the ball in the end zone by handing the ball off to Brian Robinson, who that was the biggest play Brian Robinson had all game was that touchdown. So the offensive line is what I feel like is the Snowflake of the Week because had they at least played mediocre offensive plays there and as far as protection goes, they would have won that game. But because you couldn't do a blanking thing to stop the rush attack, that's why you lost this game. That's why I have to give the Snowflakes of the Week this special edition on this episode to the Washington Commanders offensive line.
Wow, all 5 of them? Wow, that's brutal. That's brutal. But I can't say that isn't deserved. I mean, woo. Oh, man. All right, where do I begin? Okay. I think I do know where I'm going to begin. Sean McDermott. And for those who might not know the name, that's the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Your team was smoking. It was running smooth. It was doing bang up work with the 48-20 victory over the Dolphins at home. And then you decide to have your team be ill-prepared, traveling to London late. And so that affected the L there. Then you come home, you prepare for the Sunday night tilt against the Giants, and your team rolled the helmets onto the field. Yeah, they won the game, but you won the game with the help of referees swallowing the whistle. And then they rolled the helmets on the field yet again in Foxborough. And now you are the proud recipient of a team that is better than the Jets, better than the Patriots. You traveled to their buildings and you took L's to both of them. Now, I'm not saying that the Jets are horrible, but I'm saying your talent is better than theirs. I am saying the Patriots are horrible and your talent is way better than theirs. But for 3 straight weeks, your team has not been prepared. And you're 1-2 in that stretch. And that one, you better thank the Zebras. Come on, Sean. You know better than this. Your team tasted being in the AFC Championship game 3 years ago. 2 years ago, you had that epic divisional round game against the Chiefs. And then last year, yeah, it was a tough end of the season. And I think you were emotionally spent. But your team looks like they still are emotionally spent. You're 4-3, and the team is better than that. And it's your fault they aren't. Come on, be better than this, man. You're supposed to be one of the AFC contenders to compete for the Super Bowl. But now you're looking up at the Dolphins, even though you beat them. But you might not win the AFC East, and you might not make the playoffs with these putrid performances like Sunday or last Sunday night or the Sunday morning before then. Straighten up, because October has been a house of horrors for you, and it's going to continue to be a house of horrors until you straighten it out. But you better, Sean. That team's better, and you know it. Back after this.
The 2-minute drill is next. This is Total Football Talk. Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast. Every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Monday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 2:05 p.m. Central. Exclusively on the Sertoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers, right side, commanders. Where my soldiers, left side.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can be the black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. And down the stretch we come in Total Football Talk, which we just flown by this show with Drew Willingham and Cole Johnson. And look, thank you to the chat. Thank you to those who are watching, both on Sartoga Media and on the Coleman Media Incorporated YouTube channels. We totally appreciate you, and we appreciate you being the reason why we do this. We have fun, but it looks like you all are having fun with us too, and that makes us even more excited to do this and bring it to you.
We can't do this without you. I mean, we can, but then it wouldn't be as exciting or entertaining to ourselves as well as to other people. So thank you guys for joining along with the journey. And for some of you that we haven't seen in quite some time, thank you for sticking around as well. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Couldn't say that better myself. Could not say that better myself. We're the 2-minute drill where we do the best of the rest of week 8. Oh God, we're that far in the 2023 NFL season. And we start with Thursday night's game. And we talked about the Bills. They host the Buccaneers, and they are 7.5-point favorites. Of course, the Thursday night kickoff is at 8:15. The 3-3 Bucks, the 4-3 Bills. Who do you have, sir?
I've got the Bills in this one because Bunker's going to come up here and bunker it up yet again. The Bills take this game decisively at home. That's my choice.
Why bunker it up? Goodness gracious. Oh, my gosh. I agree. I think the Bills are going to have, I won't say an easy time, but I think they're going to have a bounce back performance. I really do. And I think that's the best opponent to have it on. The improving, God, I can't believe I'm saying this. The improving Minnesota Vikings at 3-4. They go to the not so frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to play the 2-4 Packers. Sunday, 1 p.m. kickoff, 12 p.m. local time. The Packers are 1.5-point home faves. Who do you have in this game, sir?
Considering the Vikings just got a jolt in this past week by beating a very, very good team. I have to give this edge to the Vikings in this one. I feel like the Vikings are going to be able to pull this one out and continue trending upward to try to repair their season.
That's a good way of putting it. And I think the Packers need this more. And I think because of it, that is going to be the deciding factor in this game. So I think the Packers are going to improve their standings, and I think the Vikings, I think they're gonna feel good about this past Monday, but get a wake-up call Sunday.
My question to you out of that, my apologies, but thinking back on it, when it comes to the Packers, you think that they're going to be able to bounce back from a loss to the Russell Wilson-led dumpster Pelican-esque Denver Broncos when you've got the Minnesota Vikings who just took down a great caliber team? I don't know, man. I especially in the 49ers and the hype I'm sorry. I have to respectfully disagree with that. And I hope this is a good contest this upcoming weekend so we can both enjoy it. But I feel like the Minnesota Vikings went up a level with their win this past weekend against the 49ers.
Well, I'm look, if it was a normal team or normal circumstances, I would probably be with you on that. But I'm just feeling a letdown coming. And I don't want that to happen, but I'm just feeling a letdown coming. Yes, they should be buoyed by the fact they beat a team who they talk about them being a Super Bowl caliber or contending team. Yeah. But sometimes you can get your hopes up real high and then basically shoot your load and then basically think, oh, this team is not so big of a challenge, although, yes, it's a divisional rival. They're not that so big of a challenge. They're not like the 49ers.
we could take it easy on them, and we don't have to go as hard. I'm thinking that. And I'm also thinking the Packers are going to be motivated to say you're not the dumpster fire that you saw in Denver. We're better than that. We just said the dumpster fires that you saw in Vegas, but I'm sorry. The Falcons. They're 4-3. They travel only 3.5 hours to the Northwest to play the Titans, who are having a fire sale at 2-4. Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff is the time. Noon in Nashville. The Falcons are 1-point faves. Who do you have in this game, sir?
Considering that Tennessee Titans are terrible, I have to give to the Falcons.
I agree. I think the Falcons are going to be the team to do it. I don't like how the Titans are going. I think they're circling the drain further and further. All right, to Miami, where the Dolphins, who are fast breaking their way to a 5-2 start, got a slowdown in Philly, but they go back home and they face the Patriots 2-5. 1 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. The Dolphins are favored by a touchdown and a field goal. Who do you have in this game, sir?
I feel like the honeymoon for the lead Chef Boyard Belichick Patriots and the spiced up mac and cheese is going to end, as the Dolphins are going to rejuvenate themselves to be that electrifying offense we've seen all year and get the win in this game.
Yeah. Look, New England has actually been, Miami has been actually a house of horrors for New England, period. So, I just think it's going to continue because if Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. had trouble in Miami, teams now that are being led by Mac Jones will also have trouble with them. Good Lord. Sometimes I can say you. I love you. I love you. I love you, though. The Jets. I know. and I expected you to do it. That's why I said it. The Jets are traveling to the Meadowlands and playing the Giants. Yes, you're saying, well, Cole, wait a minute. That is their home stadium. Yes, I know. But the Jets are the road team here. Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff is the time for it. The Jets are the road favorite by 3. Your pick, sir.
Before I give my take, the only reason why I say the second is because
you can't handle the truth.
That's directed towards myself. Anyway, when it comes to, I think it's the only time I've ever done that in the history of my podcasting career in the media is saying that to myself.
Oh my gosh!
When it comes to the Jets and
that
the Giants,
hilarious.
The Battle of New Jersey here, when it comes to this game right here, I feel like it could honestly go either way. It really depends on who's at quarterback for the Giants, but it also depends on if their defense can play at the level that they did this past week. And I feel like the only reason why that defense did is because of the offensive line has been exposed for the Commanders all year long. With that being said, they've got to face a stellar Jets defense that is going to knock them around when they play them. And even though they're led by Zach Wilson and company, I feel like the Jets have a good chance of winning this game.
I agree. I want to say I think the Giants can take the win that they had this past Sunday against the Commanders and build on it. I think the Jets will take what they did 2 weeks ago. Well, it will be 2 weeks when they step back on the field. But I think they'll take what they did last Sunday against the Eagles with them. And I think they will springboard themselves to a possible playoff contending position for them. Being without Aaron Rodgers and 4-3, I think that is a motivating factor for them to actually win this game. So I also pick the Jets. Another Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff. This is the Philadelphia Eagles at 6-1 going down to the nation's capital. Well, technically going down to the suburb of the nation's capital to play Drew's beloved Washington Commanders at 3-4. The Eagles are favored by 6.5. I know who you're rooting for. Who do you have, sir?
Well, the last time that these two teams played was earlier this month on October 1st.
That's correct.
And when they did, the Commanders only lost by a field goal, which is respectable. But the Eagles have been getting hotter since then over the past few weeks. The Commanders have been cooling off as far as staying close in games when it comes to high-caliber teams. So when I look at this game right here, even though it's at home, the Commanders are going to lay an egg, and they're going to lose this game. It may be close. It may be within a one-possession game because it's a rival game, and it seems like with rival games in the NFC East, no matter how bad the team is at the time, they're always in it when it comes to a division game. So that may be a fact, and I could be completely wrong. This how it's been over the trajectory of quite some time now. But with that being said, based on how hot the Eagles have been over the past couple of years and what they've done in production, I have to give it to the Eagles in this game. They're going to be 7-1 after this week.
Yeah. The Commanders going to give them a game. Like they did in Philly. I think they're going to give them a game in Landover too. I also believe the Eagles have this one as well. And the final Sunday 1 p.m. kickoff, the Carolina Panthers, who are 0 for the season, they host the Houston Texans at 3-3. My beloved Texans are a field goal favorite. And who do you have in this one, sir?
I mainly have Frank Reich going to lose his job at some point in the near future if they don't get a win. Like, this is absolutely terrible. And I feel like that streak of defeat is going to continue as they face a hot Houston Texans team. Don't let that 3-3 record fool you. They are a hot team this year, and I'm all in on this week as far as them beating the Panthers.
Yeah. And yes, I'm not saying this as a fan of the team. I'm saying this as just looking at the product. The Texans are vastly improved, and the Panthers really don't have anything for them. And I actually feel for the Panthers, especially Bryce Young, because that offensive line is almost as bad as the Commanders' offensive line has been. I go Texans. And it might be ugly, but it'll be good to see the Texans grind out a victory. Speaking of grinding out, two teams that seem to be grinding things out are lone 4:05 kickoff on Sunday, 1:05 in Seattle. The Seahawks at 4-2 host the Browns at 4-2. Now, you're probably saying, well, why wasn't this a featured attractions game, Cole? Come on. You got two teams that specialize in games that are anyway. The Seahawks are favored by a field goal. Who do you have, sir?
I disagree with that and actually feel like that it's going to go the other way and go to the Cleveland Browns. And I could be wrong, but there's something about this defense. And we talked about it earlier in the show about how they've been stepping up, and especially Myles Garrett leading the charge there. If they get on Geno Smith early and get the pressure on him and start sacking the blank out of him, I feel like that the Browns have a really good chance of winning this game against the Seahawks.
I agree with your premise. I do. Somehow I just think the Seahawks I think they want to prove a point against a good team, or at least a team that has a good record. And I think they're going to come at this game, and I think they're going to try. I think they're going to be victorious, but I'm seeing like last second field goal victorious. I'm not thinking this is going to be the Seahawks dominating from opening kickoff. No. The Browns defense is going to shine. I really believe they are. I think they're going to have a couple of plays like they did this past Sunday. I just am not sold on either quarterback that's going to be behind center, whether that's PJ Walker or even Deshaun Watson. And I think they are the factors to me that decide to me the L that the Browns, I believe, are going to take. And I'm not really all that impressed with the Seahawks, but I think they are going to be the team to take it to the Browns, and I think they're going to beat them. I think last second field goal. Now to the 4:25 games, or 2:25 p.m. in Denver. The Broncos are 2-5. They host the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-1. You know who's favorite. Who do you have in this game?
The Denver Broncos are going to win.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
Yeah, right. It's 6 months past April Fools. I'm not going to get that one past you. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to mollywop Russell Wilson-led Denver Broncos and get him one step closer to...
Yeah!
That's my prediction.
Well, the Chiefs go into this game beating the Broncos 16 straight times since they have met. They will make it 17 this Sunday. The Chiefs will have very little issue with the Broncos. It may be a good game, but I don't think the Chiefs will have an issue with them. And who knows? The most exciting thing will be Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes come up with another celebratory dance or celebratory handshake. Who knows? I would actually rather that happen over seeing the product that the Broncos put forth. But I digress. To the desert. 4:25 kickoff. Let me see the desert. So they're Pacific now. 2:25 local time for them. The Cardinals at 1-6. They host the 5-2 Ravens. The Purple Birds are favored by 8.5. Who do you have in this game, sir?
I've got the Ravens in this game because especially when you've got Lamar Jackson reverting back to his MVP year like this.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
He's lighting up out there on the gridiron. So when I think about how he's been playing, especially this past week, I feel like when you're playing a team at the caliber of the Cardinals, who are 1-6 at this point, you're going to get the victory, and it's going to be pretty decisively.
I agree with you there. I want to believe that the Cardinals have a trick up their sleeve like they did against the Cowboys, against the Ravens. The Ravens are just a better team than the Cowboys. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And I think the Ravens, I think they're going to feel really good about how they looked this past Sunday. They want to go almost break their necks to repeat that performance this Sunday. And I think they will. Maybe not to that degree, but I think they will come close. And I think it will be great actually to see the Ravens now be a team you have to say, well, we were talking about all these other teams, the Bengals, the Bills. Oh, we may have to look forward to the Ravens. And they'll be 6-2 after this past Sunday, after this coming Sunday afternoon. Their rival, the Bengals, will be also out west. 4:25 kick for them. The 3-3 Bengals, they will be in Santa Clara to play against the slumping. And yes, I do mean slumping 5-2 San Francisco 49ers. Now the 49ers still a favorite by 5.5. 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 in Santa Clara will be the local time kickoff. Who do you have in this game, sir?
The Bengals really need this win.
Ooh,
but if the 49ers lose, then they might as well cash it in for the season because 3 straight losses is not going to take you to the Super Bowl. So when I look at it this way, the 49ers, this is a must-win game for them to bounce back, especially after all the hype that was on Brock Purdy, and now you've lost 2 straight games, and especially to the type of team that you lost last week. The 49ers are going to win this game because they have to.
Yes. How you said it was perfect because I think the 49ers need to win this game. Just so they actually can say, doggone it, it is true that we are a Super Bowl contending team. And if they do lose this game to the Bengals, you can toss that out the window because I agree. Now, I also agree with you there too. I think the Bengals need it probably a little bit worse. They just don't have enough horses to do it. Not on the road. And I would love to say otherwise, but I can't. See, I have the 49ers in this one. The Sunday night affair. The doggone Bears are going to SoFi to meet up with the doggone Chargers. The Bears are 2-5. The Chargers 2-4. Sunday, 8:20 p.m. is the kickoff Eastern, 5:20 local time. The Staleyettes are 8.5-point favorites. Who do you have in this game, sir?
When it comes to my preview of the Dumpster Pelican game of the week,
Let's get ready to rumble!
get your snacks ready, get your drinks ready, get your blanket ready, because you are going to be taking one great nap during this game right here. Because nobody actually cares about the result of this game right here between the Chicago Bears and the Los Angeles Chargers, based on their competition that they've played over the past few weeks and the fact of the Justin Fields missing quarterback for the Chicago Bears. I have to give this one to the Chargers.
Yeah, I think that's a big missing piece. And the fact that the Bears look like they were turning the corner, although, yes, I think they stubbed their toe when they played the Vikings. It looked like they were sort of to turn the corner, but having Justin Fields be out, even though, yes, they won Sunday without Justin Fields. So, yeah, team turmoil is, I think, going to be in even more turmoil. And, yes, the less dysfunctional team is actually going to win. In a battle of which head coach is going to cost their team more, Brandon Staley is actually going to win the game. Goodness gracious. I can't believe I'm saying that. The Chargers. Goodness gracious. Okay. And then the Monday night tilt. The Lions at 5-2. It's great to see them back on Monday night football. They are 8-point favorites because they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders at 3-4. 8 p.m. kickoff, 8:15, kickoff on Monday night. Who do you have in this game, sir?
The Lions. And this is a very similar situation to the game I was just talking about a couple games ago, where the 49ers have to win this game to bounce back from losing 2 games. This team right here, and that being the Lions, after the type of loss that they were embarrassed by this past weekend, they need a victory in order to stay relevant in the chase for the Super Bowl sweepstakes.
100% in agreement. I think the way Dan Campbell is, I think he's going to have this team ready. I think he'll have this team frothing at the mouth, because I think he's going to focus in on the fact that the players' parents, offspring, and mates were disappointed in how they looked in Baltimore, and they should be ashamed of themselves for looking the way they did. And I think Campbell and his staff is going to hammer their points so far home into the Lions. We're going to see a totally different team Monday night than we did Sunday afternoon in Baltimore. So, yeah, this ain't even a question. The Raiders have nothing on nor for the Lions. And that completes this week's 2-minute drill.
Total football talk.
As long as you want. Oh, that's great. I love it. I hope it actually is recording.
And now we get to the post game. This is our final thoughts to the past week and to this show as well, throughout all of the NFL. And for the post game for Drew, I cede the floor to him.
You know, we saw some ups and downs in this past week, just like we do with any week in the NFL. And, you don't want to get too excited at this point in the year, because we're only a little over the third of the way through the season. We still have plenty of football left to go, or plenty of weeks of football. The World Series is around the corner. It's a great time in sports right now, overall for the sports fans. So myself, who loves baseball and football equally in a lot of ways, I'm enjoying it right now. I feel bad for the, off football, but I feel bad for the fans of the Houston Astros for the type of loss that they, withstood yesterday. And happy at the same time for the Texas Rangers to be back in the World Series. It's kind of a split part, but, overall, great week start to the sports. We covered pretty much every single basis of NFL Week 7 and Week 8. I thank all of you guys who are tuning into Comey Media and Sartoba Media right now, checking out this show and doing your best to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It means a lot to us. Each and every week, we're making gradual steps up there to climb the ladder a little bit each and every week, and it's been a fun experience to be a part of, whether it's seeing what Cole's doing on his end, being a part of what I'm doing on my end, or just collaborating with a bunch of great people out here who contribute to great shows and great platforms out here, just like we try to do our best as well. So thank you all for the support and for the time. My time is now shrunk a little bit, as this week I start a new work schedule today, actually. So definitely a big difference from me in my personal life, working 4 10s to now 5 9s, I guess you want to say, and then fitting everything else in between. For those of you who saw last week, we broke it down there at the end of the show about our new schedule change. Like Cole said earlier, 11 a.m. was today for this week and next week, and then we shift even earlier to 9 a.m. The week after Halloween, so that way it helps him with his schedule flow as well as myself. And look forward to, getting to you guys in the mornings with your action from the past NFL week. So if it wasn't for you guys and the interaction, it doesn't matter if it's just one of you per show and it gradually grows. As long as there's one person, in my opinion, that's getting entertained by this, I feel like we've done our job. Now, of course, like everybody else, we would love those numbers to grow, but we can't do it without the first one. So if you guys can help us out by clicking that like button and sharing and subscribing, if you haven't already, to both Comey Media and Sartoba Media, we greatly appreciate your support out here on these streams. Now I turn it over to Cole.
I like that out here on these streams. I like that switch up. Okay. I like that. Look, I it goes without saying and goes without fail that it is a pleasure to have this platform, and I share it with my brother Drew. This actually is a dream come true for me. I mean, I've always wanted to do a football show, a comprehensive football show, and it turns out I met up with somebody who wanted to do the same thing, and I'm like, oh, cool, okay. Well, then let's combine our resources. Let's see what we can come up with, and voila, here it is. But to piggyback off of the week, the week that has started in sports for the landscape of the sports world. So of course we just talked about Sunday and Monday and the previous Thursday. My heart, of course, is a tad heavy, not all that real heavy, but a tad heavy. Those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Houston Astros fan, and of course they took it to the chin to the Texas Rangers. And you're gonna say, well, wait a minute, this is a football show, Cole. I'm gonna tie it in. So the Rangers, they earned it. I'm not one of those fans. The Rangers earned it. They may be the most hated rival now of the Astros, but they earned it. They earned it. They clobbered and cleaned the clocks of the Astros. Now they're on to the World Series, and they await whoever's going to beat them, either the Phillies or the Diamondbacks. But this is where it ties into football. So there was a joker. As I was perusing social media, there was this joker who had the nerve to claim that Houston was a bad baseball town, and actually said, quote, Houston can now go back to being the bad baseball town that it is. Now that you effing losers have gone and now eliminated from the playoffs, you can go back to your miserable existences. And yes, a true baseball town can go celebrate. Close quote.
Wow.
And so I'll retort, and I retorted in verbiage, but I'll retort here thusly. And he also said that we're ungrateful. So I'll say this. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for the Astros going as far as they went, and I'm grateful for the Rangers. They were the better team. I have no problem saying that. In fact, I have said that to some Rangers fans. Congratulations, the Rangers were the better team than the Astros. Now I'll go and eat some humble pie. I've actually said that. And I make no qualms about it. Rangers were the better team. This is to the Metroplex area. Celebrate it. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Because I feel for the Rangers. I really do feel for that team because they represent a city that could really care less about them. They represent a city that when you mention Texas Rangers, they think of the law enforcement and Chuck Norris before they think of the Major League team that plays in the same spot where the team that the whole city is obsessed with resides. They reside in a place and they play in a city where they're so focused on the team that has not won a Super Bowl in 28 years, and let alone gone to an NFC Championship game since then, than a team that has actually been in 2 World Series before and about to go in their 3rd since that team has won their last Super Bowl. They play for a city that really is ungrateful of the Texas Rangers. The Rangers are a championship quality team, but they play in a city that really doesn't deserve them because they only care about the Cowboys and not a successful franchise. Man, that felt real good to say. Look on that.
As long as it's one. Oh, it's great. I love it. Actually, I was getting to I hope it actually is recording. Listening to it.
Do have one thing to add to that.
Go ahead.
You know, it is cool that I have this football platform with someone that actually knows baseball too, like myself, because you know, Texas made a lot of moves this past year, bringing in Bruce Bochy during the offseason, bringing him out of retirement. You know, now that he has a chance that he's led 3 different teams to the World Series now. And then, you know, they got Jordan Montgomery. They made some moves during the season with some trades to bring in some other pieces. Texas Rangers have been very active with the moves and rebuilding this team, a team that had just 100 losses 2 seasons ago to do what they're doing. I know this is a football show, guys, but Cole and I both get excited about baseball, especially this time of the year. It's going to be a great Game 7 tonight that we're going to see between Arizona and Philly. And I hope that Arizona makes it because, of course, me being an Atlanta Braves fan, I don't want to see Philly in the World Series, especially again, because, you know, now they're a better team than they were last year. They have a better chance to win it this year, although I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be Arizona and Texas, and I think we're going to have one great matchup between the two. Now, to that guy, he said what he said about Houston, about, you know, what did he say? Part of that quote, I don't remember, about something about that you're not that good of a team or something. What did he say about that in the beginning of that?
Said Houston's not good of a baseball town.
Oh, well, my bad that he feels that way, but if the team isn't that good that's providing to the town of 7 straight league championship series, even though it seemed like there was more hype when they were in Arlington than in Houston, that's not the fault of the team. You know, that's not the fault that, you know, if anything, I feel like the people need to calm down when it comes to all the shade that they throw on the internet. And I think that I may know who this person is that you're talking about, but I'm not going to throw them under the bus here on the live streams. All I'm going to say is that you should do a little bit more of a better job at fact checking and actually watching the game, because it was loud in Houston last night.
Oh gosh,
yes. You know, the energy was there. And especially when they're celebrating a team that had gone to 7 straight league championship series and won, and been to 2 out of the past 4 World Series, and had just won last year and had another chance of going. Dusty Baker, I don't blame him if he retires after this year, because at least he goes out on top. And he took a franchise that was pretty much in a huge downward dilemma after all the stuff that they got caught with, and kept them relevant. They were still relevant, except for the fact that they cheated, but pretty much eradicated all of that and kept them relevant by getting them to play the right way, the smart way, and they have a World Series championship in a result of that. And if Dusty Baker retires, I'm happy for him because he finally got that managerial World Series win.
Yeah. And I am happy for him too. And I credit him actually for having me get invested in the current Astros crew because with the asterisk thing that you all like to hang on over Astros fans, I'm like, yeah, I own it. Team cheated. I don't like it, and they need to be punished. I own it. But it made me realize that I'm glad that there was a guy who can get the team to enjoy playing again. So, yes, kudos to Dusty Baker and wonderful baseball man, and I'm glad he was able to. And I think he's going to retire after this year. He was able to get his ring as a manager before he went. He already had rings as a player. He actually now has one as a head coach and as a manager. So I'm happy that he's going to go out. He can probably ride into the sunset now.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to retire now than to come back for another year or two. And they were already talking about you're going to be possibly losing Altuve, and there's a couple other guys within the next 1 to 2 seasons. Justin Verlander might as well retire now because he's 41 years old.
Yeah, he might hang it up. Yeah,
I feel like it couldn't have gotten any better for him this year to go to the Mets, and then they fell as hard as they did, and then he got one last shot with the Astros. The better team won the series, but Houston definitely should not be hanging their heads because they have a lot to be proud of, especially Dusty Baker for the turnaround that he did for this team. My hat's off to him. And I was one of those asterisk announcers years ago, but since Dusty Baker came in there and did the work that he did, very proud of him, what this team had accomplished. And I'm not even a fan of the team. I just got to call out great work when I see it. So hats off to Dusty Baker, even though the hat hasn't been on my head all day. But we had to take this to baseball for a second because by the time we get to next week, we're going to be in the World Series and not have the opportunity to talk much baseball. So for those of you who are football fans watching this show right now, it is Tuesday. There is no football. There is NXT for you wrestling fans, but there is a Game 7 that you're going to want to watch if you don't have anything else going on.
Oh, yeah. First pitch, I think it'll be 8:07 tonight. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, and I'm actually excited for the Rangers. Really don't care who wins. I just want to see a good baseball. That's all I care about now.
Ike,
yeah,
you come up in here saying that you want to see Philly face Texas.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no.
You deserve that.
Well, no matter who wins tonight, they have to travel to Arlington because Texas has the home field advantage against both the Phillies and the Diamondbacks.
Which could hurt them.
Which actually could hurt them because they haven't won a game in the playoffs at home. So
8 straight road wins. I mean, that's impressive. All you got to do is win one more and you set the record. You win one more road win because they tied the streak, the best streak for road wins. But yes, I was thinking about that earlier today when I thought I was like, I remember them saying at the end of the game that, they've got the 8 straight road wins. And they haven't done that well at home, and you have home field advantage. If you're the Texas Rangers, you may be wishing that they could swap that around.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Well, again, congratulations to the Rangers. They'll be facing the Diamondbacks or the Phillies. They'll know tonight. As for us, where you can find us? Well, you can find Drew on these wonderful social media homes. You can find him on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, on X. And of course, you can find him at Sotoba Media on the YouTube channels. And so at Sotoba_media at certain social media homes. Now, as for me, along with Comey Media Incorporated on the YouTube channel, you can find me at flowcode.com/page/host Cole Johnson. That's flowcode.com/page/Cole Johnson. And a little bit of housekeeping before we go. Drew did mention it in the post game, but I'll hammer it home. Just like today, next Tuesday, we will begin at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, and it will be live on the Sotoba Media and Coleman Media Incorporated YouTube channel. That is Halloween, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And starting November the 7th, we move to our new time, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. That is live every Tuesday starting November 7th, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and Coleman Media Incorporated YouTube channels. So Total Football Talk will be doing it so Tuesday mornings from now on. 11 a.m. next week, 9 a.m. starting November 7th.
Shout out to all of you guys following Comey Media and Sertoba Media on all platforms. As TikTok just hit a milestone for us this past weekend, Sertoba Media reached over 1,000 followers on TikTok.
Nice.
So over the course of this year, to accomplish the things that Sertoba has with thousands of subscribers on YouTube and then 1,000 on TikTok, it's been fun to be a part of this growth. I couldn't do it without Cole, Snowman, Wise, all of those who I've worked with throughout this year, who've had my back out here on these media streams. I greatly appreciate those who've worked with me, even outside of the main ones I just mentioned. Every single person that has collaborated with myself or with you guys as well have made an impact towards the growth that we've seen each and every week, each and every month. And I'm just, as a representative of Sertoba Media, want to give my heartfelt appreciation to you guys. Thank you very much.
Well, definitely appreciate that and appreciate you all. Thank you again, everyone. Now, thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing. And thank you for hitting the notification bell so you can catch all content that emanates from Drew's channel, which is Sertoba Media, or my channel, Comey Media Incorporated, both YouTube style. For Drew Willingham, I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as we always do, in life, just like a tackle, keep your head up. And always remember, you got to play until the whistle blows. See you next week.